I teased it last time. What is my definition of authentic self? Cue the music. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to a short episode of the Good Leader Podcast. Why? Because I just want to get this off my chest. In the last episode, we had a great diatribe about being your authentic self. And we here at the Good Leader Podcast are on a mission to increase the world's leadership capacity. And we know the world needs better leaders, and you're one of those leaders. And if you're out there, like me, trying to be a good leader, we wrestle with these questions. What does it mean to be your authentic self in the workplace? We had a great conversation last time. Ladies, I'm going to just rant, okay? I know we're not going to do our normal format. At the end of this, you're just going to grade. You're going to give me a grade.
Okay.
A, B, C,
we're gonna be
D,
like
or
the,
F.
We're going to be like the at the Olympics, holding up
That's
the
it.
cards.
That's it. You're holding up the cards.
4.2.
That's exactly right. This is just Jared's rant. This might be a new special
Zero.
type of episode. Because I'd done some thinking on the authentic self, and I love the conversation that we had last week, because I do think that there is a lot of truth in the middle and figuring out, judgmentalism and bias and all those types of things. I hate the use of the word authentic self. That's what I discovered, okay? I can actually acquiesce to a lot of this behavior, but man, I just hate that we say, I'm just being authentic. No, you're being rude. No, I'm just being authentic. No, you're being rebellious. You're non-conforming to the thing that we've agreed to. That is a fireable offense. Okay.
Yep.
So what does it mean to be your authentic self? I go back to my early days, back when I was just a little rookie bridge camp volunteer in college. Rookie bridge camp was our freshman orientation camp. Most colleges have them. And at Little Old Northeastern State University. Now, believe it or not, I was actually really into the freshman camp. And
we do believe it.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if my personality showed that.
Shocking.
I'm not going to
Crazy.
say that I was like the world's greatest volunteer for that setting, but I was a valuable piece.
The personality aligns.
Yeah. And I went to the camp, and I'm going to tell, this is authentic self. Now remember, I'm framing all of this with authentic self. What does it mean to be your authentic self?
Yeah.
I go to this camp as a freshman, and I'm little wide-eyed, green, Jared Murr, like, man, just little old, stereotypical wasp stepping into. Thank you. That was it. I like that. Dynamite drop. I go to this camp, right?
And it's this. You right now.
Yeah, it is. This freshman orientation. And I was not a perfect person, but I was like, when I say innocent, I mean like innocent is like, well, that guy doesn't know a lot. Not very street smart. Not very,
Straight-laced.
Straight-laced. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Straight-laced.
Not very street.
I wasn't.
I was not very street smart. I did not, I had never been around the block. I didn't even know where the block was.
Yeah.
So it's even, wow, you guys go around that block? I'm not supposed to go to that block. Oh, but now I'm in college. I can go to that block if I want to go to that block. So I go to this freshman camp. And it's the normal stuff. It's a lot of even stuff that we do with Paradigm Shift and work with students. It's cool. We're doing name games and icebreakers. You're getting to know people and you're having fun. Great. And they did this activity called WOW, okay, which someone would step up and they would say, have you ever, been to Italy? And if you had, you'd step forward, tap, tap, clap, clap. Wow. Okay, great. So I'm in there, little freshman Jared, and I step, wow.
Where is this going?
It's dirty. That's where it's going.
Yeah, I'm
dirty is where it's going. Because the first couple were like that. Have you ever been to Italy? Have you ever done this? And then someone, have you ever peed in the shower? Okay, all right, that's kind of funny. Okay, chuckle, great, cool. And then someone else, have you ever pooped in the shower? Oh, well, okay, that's disgusting. But a couple of guys stepped forward and said, wow, okay, that's weird. Okay, that's weird. And then we just started describing more and more intimate sexual acts.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. And I was like.
Note for the audio. Okay, Jared's face right now is his eyes are popping. So the first couple, I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. Okay, cool. And hey, last time we talked about behavioral settings. This is a new day, Jared. This is not your Southern Baptist Church camp here where we're all sharing. It's like, okay, this is wow. Okay, this game is called WOW. And I'm like, wow, okay.
I'm saying wow.
I'm saying wow. And these people are admitting these things. I'm like, I'm not judging you for doing it. I can't believe you're just flaunting this. I'm like, wow. Okay, so I'm looking around, and I went from being a non-participant to then I was like, wow, now I am uncomfortable. This is, I'm feeling uncomfortable.
I did not want to know that about you.
I did not want to know that about you. I'm looking around and I'm seeing a couple of other people being uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, this is uncomfortable. And I don't know that this is furthering our goal. I'm just a participant though. And so, but
were people coming up with the things themselves?
Oh yeah, it's just like no. You just shout it out. You shout out whatever.
Okay, so it just devolved quickly.
It just devolves quickly, and which is predictable. Yep. But my point is, in that moment, I was, in my opinion, my authentic self, meaning, hey, I'm uncomfortable, and I told people like, ooh, like it wasn't like I didn't protest or anything, but I was just like, looking at the young lady next to me, and I mean, she was uncomfortable also, and I said, wow, I'm really uncomfortable. Me too. I was like, okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. No, I'm uncomfortable. Okay. But I didn't acquiesce to the behavior. I was like, I'm just now kind of here. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with this. Authentic self. Okay. So that's one example. So then my authentic self, the next year when I was a volunteer, like now I'm on the other side of the fence. I'm a volunteer. And we're talking about and we're planning. I said, I think we should eliminate the WOW game. Why? And I shared why. I was like, because as a freshman last year, and now I know the people, so I'm naming names. I was in a group with these 5 people, and we were not only uncomfortable, I was pretty mortified. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what that is. I know I haven't done it, but I don't know what it is. So, I mean, I don't know what that is. So I said, our goal is to pull freshmen in and help them navigate and be comfortable. And I know I'm not trying to be, Mr. Saint over here and act like this. But I was like, I just don't think that helps with the goal. I think there are lots of other things we could do. And I said, if you still want to play the game, fine. But change it up where we do have someone moderating, and it doesn't devolve. Fine. Because the game actually, behind closed doors, was actually called Dirty WoW. So it was like, okay. So you knew it was going to devolve.
Right.
So
I just for that to devolve.
Yes. But I shared it, and we didn't do the game. And camp was fine. We didn't lose anything from the camp. Now, pretty funny stuff for those of you who know me and know my faith journey. I'm not quiet about it, even on this podcast. So, like, the last year that I volunteered, it was really fun because I got married between my junior and senior year. And so at our very last training, not freshman, just the very last training, some friends of mine who we've done this camp for 3 years together. So I think the young lady who was beside me that first uncomfortable day was still with me as a volunteer.
That's fun.
The very last training, we played Dirty WoW, just as the volunteers at the last training, specifically for me. They're like, all right, we're going to play this game. We're bringing it back. It's been about 3 years. We're going to play Dirty WoW. And that was really funny. And then I was my authentic self.
I bet you
I was my authentic self, and I gave my authentic answers.
I was not ready for this story.
And I was like, ooh, what's that? Maybe I should try that. All right, so...
wow, this is the raunchiest.
I'm just saying.
Authentic.
Okay.
I can't even say this episode is your authentic self.
No, I'm saying. So, okay. Here's my then definition of authentic self. Especially now, let's bring it back to workplace and whatever things. You should never compromise your values. Sure. That is your authentic self.
Yeah.
And if this is compromising a value, speak up. And if it is, more power to you, whatever it is. If it is your attire, if it is, we talked about, what we wear being, maybe the entry level. But there are, you could be wearing something that is important to you religiously. Well, okay, and that's your dress, and that's your value. Great, absolutely, speak up. And I know that we have laws against that. But if we're just talking about internal dynamics, whatever your value is, who am I to judge your values? But a lot of these things, when we call it authentic self, it's like, that's not a value, that's your preference. There's a difference in values versus preference. I prefer, so when you talk of trends like, my authentic self wants to work, in the afternoons, and I don't really show up, and I don't really show up as my best self, or maybe I'm here, but I'm, grogging around. It's like, no, that's a preference. That's not a value.
Yeah.
That's your core values and who you are. That is your authentic self. Your mission, what you want to go, like you were saying, Ansh, what do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to go? That's your authentic self. Like, this is the direction I want to go, and this is taking me in that way. I don't really want to go there. Like you were using the example of someone who says, I want to progress. I want to move up the corporate ladder, so to speak. Okay, well, this is how a chief executive officer behaves. So maybe you should start leaning that way. Oh, that is. And that's who I want to be. That's your authentic self. Those things in the workplace, very few people will quibble over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not like it. It might cause frustration for me. You know what I'm saying? Even if, but I'm not going to go often. And this is the Good Leader Podcast. I know that there is a very small minority of leaders out there who would take offense or a problem with that. But most of the time, we wouldn't. Even that, the camp changed because I said, hey, I think I'm uncomfortable and I think it's making other people uncomfortable. And I presented it in a way that was not a protest, not ugly about it. I just said, hey, what do you think? We're planning the camp for this year. This was my experience.
Yeah.
And in the workplace, you could share that same thing. Go to your boss, your leader, if they don't ask, and that's the thing where you can give feedback. Say, hey, this is my authentic self, and in this situation, it is uncomfortable. We've even changed the way we've done our retreats because of that. Because the way, and specifically the way that we interact with alcohol at retreats. Why? Well, because, hey, this is uncomfortable. Is it wrong? It's not wrong. It's not, but hey, this is starting to bleed in from preference to value. And we know a few people on our team really value sobriety. They've been through that journey. Others value abstinence from alcohol for various reasons. And like, okay, we've kind of, we're incurring on that now. We're not saying, you know what I'm saying? And so those are the things that values, that's your authentic self. Values matter. And you should always speak up for those.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the last episode and others, people are starting to view their preferences as values. And that is shallow. That is shallow. That is not a value. That's a preference. And that's fine. Have all the preferences you want. And to your point, Rochelle, man, there are a lot more options. I don't like the preferences of this place. I prefer to work somewhere else. More power to you. Absolutely go do that.
Yeah.
But that's the difference to me in that distinction. And so whether you're playing Dirty Wow or whether you are in the workplace trying to define your authentic self, be your authentic self. But to me, do not compromise your authentic self, but also do not lessen it. And I think when we use the word so flippantly, we are lessening who we are.
Trivializing.
We are trivializing it. Yeah, Gen Z, even the conversation, the reason that we have so many shallow conversations around Gen Z is because that's what often is represented.
Yeah, which is not true.
I know you are deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But express that. Tell me that. Articulate that. Share those things. All of the above. Okay. I said it was going to be short and I ranted too long. Give me the grade and we're closing out.
What is it? 1 to 5?
Yeah, what's the scale?
It's up to y'all. 1 to 5 still good to me. Is 1 the best or is 5 the best? 5's the best.
5's the best.
5's the best. Okay, that's my take. That's my authentic self. Yeah. You can judge me both on the take and the presentation. Presentation with Dirty Wow.
Presentation's probably going to bring it up.
Pretty high. I know you like that.
Bring it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, the story was great. I laughed.
Thank you.
So
All right.
I'm giving it 4.2.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
4.2. Okay. 4.5.
Nice.
No, I can't give away a 5.
I'm fair. That's okay. I know you're a harsh judge, but you're also, you know the way to my heart. You gave me a little bit more than Rochelle. Wise move.
Yeah.
All right. Know what your boss likes.
That's a whole other episode.
Be your authentic self. Know your core values. Know your mission. And if you don't know those, if you're like, I don't even know what they are, then take some time. That's where you should take your time thinking, what things actually matter? What things matter to my core? What things are my beliefs, not just preferences? When you do that, live those ways, you will definitely be a good leader. Hey, solid story, right?